Alright. Hi guys, it's Jamie again. I am posting my second video like ever. And I want to thank everybody who was supportive and shared the video, because it's important to me and to many people like me to get this information out. As I said before in my first video, I am a surviving victim of sexual assault. I experienced it for many years, and I know what it's like to feel alone. I don't want anybody to, feel like they're completely alone, because it's not true. As a matter of fact, there's a statistic I have here that proves that there are too many of us experiencing this kind of abuse, or just in general any kind of abuse, but specifically sexual abuse. According to RAINN, RAINN, they have a statistic that states that about every 107 seconds, that's almost every 2 minutes, there's an American citizen who is being sexually assaulted. That's a big number. There's a lot of us in the US, and to think that every almost 2 minutes there's another one experiencing sexual assault or rape or some kind of sexual crime, that's not good. We really need to do something about this. I did read also on the RAINN website that since 1993 the rate of sexual assault has decreased, but I don't think it's decreased enough. It's still a pretty big issue that we don't really acknowledge or talk about, and I think that we need to really do something about it. So I know for me, the effect of the whole experience psychologically really got me. For most of my life, I had a very low self-esteem. I avoided people, really. I would never really hang out with one set group of people or group of friends. I was very kind of standoffish, especially in high school when I was going through puberty, and that's a rough time to begin with, but I definitely had a hard time with that. I know that many people experience low self-esteem. They have issues, they don't know how to deal with it. As human beings, we already don't like being in our own bodies. We're not very comfortable in our own bodies to begin with. So many people will go to drinking, socially, or something that'll kind of change us for a short time. We tend to do those things. That's why drugs, alcohol, cigarettes, stuff like that are actually very popular in our society. But people who experience traumatic events are more likely to turn to these things, because more than the average person, we don't like ourselves, and we're not comfortable with who we are, and that sucks. That's not a very good feeling to have. I grew up like that. I went to college like that, and still to this day I have issues socializing with people. Many of my friends are actually friends of friends that I've met, or friends because I met them through friends kind of thing, or through work. I've never really, I will admit that I don't like people. I really don't like people. I've mentioned this to my therapist several times, almost every visit, because something somewhere throughout my week, I experience something that makes me realize that I don't like people. just because we as humans can make mistakes, and sometimes we're not the friendliest, especially depending on what we go through. Some of us are a little less friendly than others, some of us are too friendly, some are too comfortable with ourselves, some are too comfortable with other people, or what have you. I really don't care for people that much, but the people that I do have in my life, I really go out of my way to spend time with. I really love and care for them, and they love and care for me, and that's why they're still in my life, because they've stuck around, they've been there for me during the hard times, through the good times. They've never made me feel uncomfortable, they've always made me feel very comfortable with who I am, comfortable being with them, and, that's really what's important for people who experience any kind of traumatic event, is having people in their life who will be there to support them, to be, just supportive and okay, and not make them be anybody but who they are. And that's one thing I will say. I'm thankful for the people I have in my life, because they've accepted me for who I am. They've accepted me for my craziness, obviously. I've got half a shaved head, I've got crazy makeup, I've been told I look like Egyptian, and I look like I've got owl eyes, and I don't care. I even have cute little mustache stud earrings. I am going to be who I am no matter what anybody says, and I am glad that I have people in my life who accept me that way, and that's the way it should be for everybody. Another statistic is more to fight the myth that there is, or the stereotype that there is, that most of the victims who experience sexual assault are female, which even though most of the victims are women, there's still quite a few males who experience traumatic events with result to a sexual crime against them. And it turns out, according to a statistic I found on Nova, it's a national, or I believe it's Nation of Victim, I don't remember what it says, but I do remember that it stands for something. Network of Victim Assistance is what it stands for, NOVA. I feel really bad for not memorizing that, but there's actually a whole page dedicated to male sexual assault, and one of the very important statistics that really stood out to me was that in the US, that over 10% of all sexual assault victims are actually male. Even though 10% is not that big, any percentage is big, in my opinion, because it shouldn't be happening to people. Nobody should experience this. The other thing that I saw that they had on this page, which I thought was very important to share with people, is that sexual assault is never the victim's fault. It's never because the victim wanted it to happen. As a victim myself, I know I felt that way. I felt that it was my fault, that I did something, that I deserved it, and it's not true. Sexual assault tends to happen not just because, somebody's attractive, or because of the way they're dressed, or because of who they are, because of how they look, or because of this, that, and the other. Sometimes it's just the fact that whoever the assailant is wants to experience the power and control that sexual assault gives them. It's all a psychological thing, and it's kind of more of somebody wants to know and feel powerful and control of something. As we all know, we don't always have control over our lives, and some people have control issues where they have to control everything, or some people may experience problems where they can't control something in their life, so they decide they want to control somebody, which, excuse me, is something that's very sad, but something that is very real in the world. Another thing that I wanted to share is for people who are either college students, whether it be their first year, their last year, in between, doesn't matter, or even somebody who works on a college campus or a school campus, high school campus of any sort, because realistically anymore, unless the campuses are closed, it's very possible to happen. But it is more likely to happen on college campuses, especially since a lot of them are public schools. So I found on RAINN.org they have a page dedicated to staying safe on campus, college campus. College students, anybody who's going to further their education and be on campus, on any campus at any given point, should really kind of know these things. And some of the main points that I wanted to share is, to know your resources, have the phone number for emergency or security or campus police, have that saved in your phone for easy access. Know where, places like your health center, your the campus police station, anything like that, kind of know those locations, and also kind of know where, I know places like CSUs here in California. I know that a lot of them, and some of our community colleges as well, have emergency lights and emergency phone booths that kind of are scattered throughout the campus. Kind of know where those are, because those are really helpful. Those are there for, those kinds of situations where you feel threatened and you need help, and, that's what they're for. Another thing is that when you're crossing campus, when you're walking around campus, when you're anything on campus, be aware of what's going on around you, be alert. I try not to be alone, especially at night. It's a little more scary because you're not as, you don't have as much visibility as you would in the daytime. Like I said, try not to be alone. If you have to be alone, if you can't get somebody to go with you or something, and you're like me who likes to listen to music when you're walking, don't use both of your headphones. Use one, or don't use them at all. Or I know that especially when I'm walking somewhere at night, especially somewhere where there's a lot of hiding places or somewhere that I'm not super aware of, I personally don't even put my headphones on or any kind of music. I have my phone in a pocket or in my hand. I tend to, if I have my skateboard, I tend to have it ready, so then if I feel the need to defend myself, I can. Just be super aware, super alert of what's going on around you. For any, safety reason, whether it be that you're, to protect yourself from sexual assault, to protect yourself from being mugged or something. Anything could happen anywhere anymore. Another thing is social media, sharing your location. That's another thing they mentioned. I've never really thought about that, but now that I'm thinking about it, yeah, it makes sense. Kind of be aware, careful, cautious of who you're sharing your location with. And especially if you're going into like a new setting, you're moving away from home, or, you're making friends, don't trust people too easily. Make it something they've got to work for, kind of thing. And that's something that I definitely will say that has helped me as a victim of assault. I've never been too trusting of people. From my hometown, I was pretty okay trusting a lot of people, just because a lot of people knew who I was, a lot of people knew my family. I knew a lot of people, if not everybody, thanks to my mother. Which isn't always a bad thing in a small town. It's kind of a nice, back when I was a kid, it was annoying, but now that I'm older, I'm looking back and I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of grateful that was the case. But, new settings, don't trust super easily, make people work for your trust, and follow your intuition. If you don't feel comfortable with somebody, if something's off about somebody, You know, don't let yourself just kind of play it off as like, oh, you know, whatever. It's, you know, it may actually be a thing, you know. I've had that a couple times with people where I'm like, oh, I'm not too comfortable with this person. I don't know how I feel about this person. And luckily I followed that intuition, and, you know, I avoided situations that could have been bad for me. So trust your instincts, trust your intuition. Don't trust people too easily. Another thing is always have a plan B. One of the examples they gave on the site was, you know, if your phone dies, you know, have some numbers memorized, you know, for emergency situations, which I personally am quite good at memorizing things like that for some insane reason. But, you know, memorize somebody's number, some place's number, you know, even if it's, you know, a friend, a family member, I don't know, police station, something. Just at least one, if not multiples, if you can do that. And then, you know, being at home, especially like if you're in the dorms, or, you know, if you live by yourself, or you live with roommates, you know, make sure you secure your living space, and, you know, you're secure in where you're at. You know, if you're somewhere by yourself, in your car, you know, keep your doors locked, especially if it's an area you're not familiar with. Same thing with your home, you know, lock your doors, close your windows, stuff like that. Those are just some things that are helpful from the site. One of the other things that I thought of while I was talking about all this was me and a couple of my friends have been very smart and very good at keeping each other safe by, if we were planning on going somewhere that we weren't super familiar with, or if we planned on being out and didn't know when they were coming back, if we were just in general just trying to be cautious, we would, you know, let each other know, hey, I'm going to such and such place, here's the address, or here's the place, or this is, and or this is who I'm going with, and what have you, to really, you know, let somebody know where we're at, and, you know, hey, if I'm not home by 6 o'clock, or, you know, if I'm not back in 2 hours or something, you know, like, hey, you know, call and check on me, or, I had one friend, I texted him and told him, you know, hey, if you don't hear from me in a while, you know, ask me a question, and if I don't answer the specific thing, you know, it's not me replying. And it was something just he and I knew, and you know, it worked, you know, and just gotta have something somewhere like that. It's helpful, you know, it's for safety reasons. You want to be careful, you want to be aware, just because in situations you don't know what could happen, you don't know what the other person's thinking, you don't know how they're going to react, you don't know, you know, what's going on in their brain. You may know what's going on in yours, but, you know, there's always a lot more going on in one situation than just ourselves. So, these are some stuff, you know, some tips and statistics, facts that I wanted to share. Slowly but surely, this YouTube channel is opening up about my experiences, and sharing this information is actually helping me, I think. I mean, I know it's going to help me in the long run once, you know, I get it more out, but I think it's already starting to help me. But I want you guys to go and share this information, share my story, share all this. For anybody who's a victim or a survivor of anything, feel free to contact me if you need help of any sort. Go ahead and go to RAINN.org. It's RAINN.org. Sign language is kind of rusty. It's RAINN.org. They have all kinds of resources, tips. I'm going to put some of the sites down in the description below. And if you're a victim of any kind of sexual crime and you want to talk to somebody, they have a free hotline. It's 1-800-656-HOPE. Feel free to call them, or go to their website. If you guys need help, you guys are welcome to contact me. There's several resources out there. You just gotta reach out for them. So on that note, after 20 minutes, I'm gonna let you all go. I hope y'all have a good night, and I hope y'all keep sharing this stuff and keep watching the videos, and keep supporting me, because it's really helpful for me, and it's helpful for others like me. And yeah, that's about it. So I'll see you guys later. Bye.